My wife texted delete this, to the wrong number. It was mine. Reddit cheating stories. The first thing that made me uneasy wasn't the message. It was the silence after I hung up. I'd been in the hallway with one shoe on, the other in my hand, staring at the coat rack like I'd forgotten how jackets work, when the call ended and the apartment felt too still. The kind of still where you notice the refrigerator cycling on, the faint tick of the cheap wall clock, the way your own breathing suddenly sounds loud and stupid. I kept the phone pressed to my ear for a beat even though the line was dead, as if holding it there could rewind the last 30 seconds and give me a different outcome. Then her name flashed across my screen with a new message, delete this. Now. Not I'm fine. Not heading home. Not even a lie with effort behind it. Just an instruction. Urgent enough to have capital letters in the air even though it wasn't written that way. I read it once. Twice. My thumb hovered, and the part of my brain that loves my wife tried to solve it like a puzzle instead of what it obviously was, panic sent to the wrong person. It was a Tuesday, which is such a nothing detail, except Tuesdays were our normal. Our no-drama days. The predictable evenings where we'd eat leftovers and complain about work and argue playfully over what to watch. We'd been married 4 years, together almost 9, and our life had settled into routines that felt safe. She worked at a mid-size firm where everything was urgent and everyone acted like sleep deprivation was a personality trait. I work at a clinic, which means my days are full, but when I come home I'm actually home. I cook. I do laundry. I keep the place running. And lately, she'd been working late again more often, so often that the phrase had become background noise. Tonight was supposed to be the same. She kissed me around 5, quick and distracted, her hand brushing my waist like punctuation. Late again, she'd said, already half turned toward the door. Don't wait up. I didn't wait up. Not officially. I just stayed awake. I was about to leave the apartment because Candace, her manager, had just called me. That's what had snapped the night out of normal. Candace's voice had that tight, professional irritation people get when they've been putting out fires all day and something else catches. Hi, is this Mark? I'm sorry to call you this late. This is Candace, Anya's manager. You're listed as her emergency contact. Emergency contact. The words landed wrong. Like seeing your name on a hospital clipboard. I remember my grip tightening on the phone. My palm went damp. I glanced down the hallway toward the entryway, toward the small mat by the door where her shoes usually ended up. It was empty. Yes, I said, and it came out thin. Is everything okay? There was a hesitation on the line, a tiny pause that felt like a trapdoor opening. I don't know, she admitted. She texted me at 6 saying she was working late again and would be back in the office after dinner. But she hasn't been here since this afternoon. We had a client escalation and I'm trying to find her. Is she with you? I looked at the empty mat like it might start arguing on my behalf. No, I said. She told me she was still at work. Another pause. She left here at 3, Candace said quietly. She told me she had a dentist appointment. Then she lowered her voice, like shame was contagious. If she told you she was working, then she lied to one of us. I heard myself say, okay, like I was responding to directions. I promised I'd call Anya. Candace asked me, almost gently, to have Anya contact her if she reached out. I'm not trying to get her in trouble, she said. I'm just worried. And then the call ended, and the apartment went still, and my wife, who was supposedly working late, sent me, delete this. Now. I didn't answer immediately. I stood there with one shoe on, staring at the message until the letters blurred. I could feel my heartbeat in my fingers. It wasn't the words themselves. It was the tone. The urgency. The assumption that whoever received it would obey. I typed, delete what? And stared at the draft like it was too accusatory, then sent it anyway because there wasn't a softer version that didn't make me feel insane. Three dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. My stomach did the slow, sick drop. Her reply came, wrong number. Just delete it please. No explanation. No sorry. Just containment. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I called again, because denial makes you do stupid things. Voicemail again. I texted, your manager called me. Are you okay? Please answer. The three dots never appeared. My brain started offering me options like a menu I didn't want to read: lost phone, dead battery, meeting, accident. One darker option kept pushing itself forward and my body kept trying to shove it away. I did something I'm not proud of, which I know Reddit will tear apart, but I'm not here to win moral points. We share locations. For safety, we told each other when we turned it on. Convenience. Trust. I opened Find My and watched the map load like it was taking its time on purpose. Her location wasn't at the office. It wasn't moving along a road. It was sitting still near a strip of shops on the other side of town, close to a hotel I recognized because we'd looked at it once for a friend's wedding block. My mouth went dry. I zoomed in, then out, then in again, like pinching the screen hard enough could pinch reality into a different shape. Then my screen lit with another message from her: sorry babe, phone was dead, still at work, crazy night, be home soon. I stared at it until I started to feel calm in a way that scared me. Because a dead phone doesn't send texts. And still at work didn't match the little blue dot sitting behind a hotel. Something in me made a quiet click. Not a dramatic movie snap. More like the way a seatbelt locks when you pull too hard. My hand stopped shaking for a second, and that moment of stillness was worse than panic because it felt like my body had accepted something my mind hadn't said out loud yet. I grabbed my keys and left. The drive felt unreal. The streets were slick from a light rain and everything outside my windshield looked blurred at the edges, like the world was smudged. I kept gripping the steering wheel too tightly, then realizing my shoulders were up by my ears and forcing them down again. My head kept whispering, don't do this, turn around, you're being paranoid. But my gut had one steady sentence: you already know. The hotel lot was half full. I parked across from the entrance and sat there for a full minute, staring at the glow of the lobby windows. People walked in and out carrying small overnight bags like their lives were organized and simple. Like they knew where they were going and why. Then I saw her car. Same little scuff on the rear bumper from when she backed into a pole last year. Same air freshener hanging from the mirror. I felt my throat tighten like I'd swallowed something wrong. My hands started shaking again, but I got out anyway. The air smelled like wet asphalt and cigarette smoke from someone huddled under an awning. My shoes squeaked on the pavement, loud in a way that felt humiliating. I walked toward her car like I was sleepwalking. The passenger seat was reclined back slightly. I could see movement inside, two silhouettes. My brain tried to protect me by refusing to sharpen the picture. Then the interior light flicked on for a second and it was like someone turned the contrast up on my life. Anya was in the driver's seat, turned toward the passenger side. Her hair was down. She never wears it down to work anymore because she says it's annoying. A man was beside her, close enough that his shoulder pressed into hers like it belonged there. His hand was on her thigh. Not tentative. Not accidental. Just placed. I didn't realize I'd walked right up to the car until my knuckles were inches from the window. She looked up and her face changed so fast it made me nauseous, eyes wide, mouth opening, then closing again like she couldn't find a lie that fit in time. The man followed her gaze, confused, and when he turned I recognized him. Not a stranger. Nate. One of her coworkers. The guy she always called so annoying, whose name she said too often for someone who didn't matter. I knocked on the window. Not hard. Not dramatic. Just enough that the sound carried. Anya fumbled with the lock, hands shaking now too, and the window lowered a few inches. Warm air and the faint smell of her perfume spilled out like a slap. Mark, she said, and my name came out like a warning. What are you doing here? I laughed once, small and sharp, because my body didn't know what else to do. Your boss called me, I said. My voice sounded strange, steady, almost bored, like I was reading facts off a page. Looking for you. Because you weren't at work. Her eyes flicked to Nate and back. Nate stared straight ahead like he'd suddenly become deeply interested in the hotel sign. Get out, I said. It came out quieter than I expected. Both of you. Open the door. For a split second, Anya's expression flashed irritated, like I was embarrassing her. That tiny flicker did something vicious to my chest. Please, she whispered. Not here. Not here, like the location was the problem. Like the betrayal was fine as long as it stayed unseen. I stepped back and crossed my arms because if I didn't hold myself together physically, I felt like I'd fold. Where, then? I asked softly. Would you prefer I find you doing this in our driveway? Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't get out of the car. She didn't shove his hand away. She just looked at me like she wanted me to carry her guilt for her. Nate shifted like he was going to speak. I didn't even look at him. Don't, I snapped, and the sharpness surprised me. I couldn't give him that much of me. Anya swallowed hard. It's complicated. I nodded slowly like I was taking notes. No, I said. It's not. You lied to your boss. You lied to me. You told me working late again while you were here. With him. Behind a hotel. Her shoulders sagged like she'd been waiting for someone to say it out loud. I didn't mean for you to find out like this, she whispered. That sentence landed like a final stamp. Not denial. Not confusion. Just confirmation. I stepped back another pace and felt the rain mist my face. Yeah, I said, and my voice finally shook. Me neither. I didn't scream. I didn't slap her. I didn't do anything that would make a satisfying clip. I just turned around and walked back to my car, hands numb, legs moving on autopilot. Behind me I heard a door open. I heard Anya call my name once. I didn't turn around. I drove home in silence. When I got there, I didn't go inside right away. I sat in my parking spot and stared at our dark windows until my eyes burned. Anya came home about an hour later. She walked in like she was entering a crime scene. Quiet steps, careful breath, trying not to make it worse just by existing. I was at the kitchen table with my phone face down, staring at a single fork on a napkin like it had answers. She started crying immediately. Real tears. I'm sorry, she said, voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I didn't yell. I didn't have energy for yelling. I just looked at her and asked, how long? She hesitated. That hesitation was its own confession. A couple months, she whispered. A couple months, I repeated, like the phrase might collapse under the weight of what it meant. So every time you said working late again. I didn't plan it, she said quickly. It just happened. I stared at her. Nothing just happens for a couple months, I said. That takes planning. That takes lying. She tried to come closer, hands out like she could touch me back into loving her. I pushed my chair back and stood up because I couldn't stand being at her eye level. I want you to leave, I said, and my voice was so calm it scared me. Her face twisted. Mark, please. This is our home. Not tonight, I said. Not with you in it. She froze like she expected me to soften. I didn't. Eventually she went to the bedroom and packed a bag, zippers loud in the quiet. When she came back out her eyes were swollen, hair messy, a stranger wearing my wife's face. I love you, she whispered at the door. I didn't answer, because I didn't know what love meant in her mouth anymore. The door shut and the apartment was suddenly too quiet, like the air itself was waiting for me to decide what happens next. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. And if you've been through something similar, finding out the truth because someone else accidentally pulled the thread, feel free to share your story in the comments.